Hey, welcome to New Jump City, everybody, where we recap the week in American and Japanese sequential art. I'm your host, Christian, the unbiased king. Still no sound drop. Sorry, guys. I'm still working on that part. But yeah, I'm here. Also joining me, it is my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the tank top sage. It's Joshua Gangsta Time Cole.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for listening.
Hey. Also joining us, it is my brother, our producer. It is Edgelord Big News Brian. Hey, he did it. We are back for another week of manga discussion. We are still in our audio phase, our audio only era for a minute. Still trying to get my shit together after the loss of my computer. RIP. Rest in peace.
All right.
Yeah.
His computer.
Yeah, it's a massive inconvenience. But, you know, we're still here. We're still rocking. Still rolling.
Back from the wake.
Yeah, back from the wake. So, you know, we got a lot of manga to talk about this week. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into plugs. You could find me at the Chris Aspinall on Twitter and Instagram. Joshua Cole, where can they find you?
At JD Cole _37. That's on Instagram. And at New Jump City, Josh on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. Brian?
You can find me at b.esp on both Instagram and Twitter. And if you ever want to catch me when I'm streaming, you can find me at twitch.tv/hispunchline.
Wow, that was fast. If you can follow us at New Jump City on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, because why not? I'm gonna see if I can put together some kind of video content for TikTok with this episode, but we'll see how I feel. It's been a busy few weeks. But yeah, check us out on all those platforms. If you have any questions, suggestions, anything you guys want us to talk about, email us at newjumpcitypod@gmail.com with any questions, all of that stuff. Or you can comment under any of the videos. We may not be uploading at this very moment, but I still check it every day. So comment under stuff, like, share, all the stuff, subscribe if you will, so that, you know, we have a nice fun audience for when we're back on the video scene, all that stuff. So, you know, do all that. And I think that's it for plugs. For now, let's get into the show proper and start with My Hero Academia. This is My Hero Academia.
My God, Chris. Oh my God. This chapter of My Hero Academia, this is going to be one for the ages.
Yeah?
Shout out to Brian.
Damn. All right. Well, this is going to be lock in, guys. I feel a massive debate coming on. Okay, so last we left off with My Hero Academia. All for One is just being, you know, quadruple teamed by every hero in the general vicinity. And Gigantomachia has shown up, brainwashed by Shinso, and has supposedly turned on his master. But we start off this chapter with All for One just realizing that Gigantomachia has been brainwashed, and he's like, no, what? This explains how the Aoyama family deceived me, all courtesy of manipulation quirk. But that's my modus operandi. And he uses a quirk to try and steal back control and break off Shinso's mind control. And we hear Gigantomachia start talking to All for One, you know, talking about how although All for One basically changed his form, he was able to recognize him and search for him. And he asks, why, oh, why did you leave me behind? And at that point, Hawks is like starting to get confused. He's like, whoa, wait, is Shinso forcing him to speak? But no, that's not how his brainwashing quirk works. And we start to get inside the mind of Gigantomachia. from the moment that he was first separated from All for One way back in the day when All for One was starting to plan to hide himself away. Um, and he said that, "Don't worry, I will soon hide myself away, but don't worry, my successor will seek you out." And he mentions that his greatest regret is that he won't get to pamper and spoil him anymore. And he he explains further, Gigantomachia does, that he, on the day of the big war, he recognized All for One's scent and voice in the body of Shigaraki. So, he definitely knew it was him. And after he kept the faith and waited for so long, he remembers that during the war, All for One basically turned tail and ran, and Gigantomachia was, of course, taken prisoner by the heroes. And he's pissed about that. He's like, "Why did you abandon me and run away?" And Shinso, we get a cut of Shinso and Kirishima on his head, and he starts to talk about how the only two people that were able to resist his brainwashing were Midoriya and Gigantomachia. Um, and he noticed that while he was brainwashed, Gigantomachia was just like muttering to himself and expressing a deep-seated anger over being betrayed. So, it turns out Shinso hasn't been really controlling Gigantomachia at this point. He's there as a safety feature, but this is all Gigantomachia because, as we all know, Shinso may be able to control the actions of people, but he cannot actually control a person's heart. So, yeah, Gigantomachia is on the side of the heroes, just trying to beat up on All for One. Uh, and All for One is perturbed by this. He is obviously not having a good time. And then we cut over to the helicopters in the area. I remember, there was
I just want to say Josh is also perturbed by that.
by Gigantomachia's
All
betrayal.
for one. Yes.
Hmm.
Anybody else perturbed by that?
No,
Anyone else feel cheated
not
or
particularly.
robbed?
I mean, I guess we
don't
could
know.
talk about it at our thoughts, or we could talk about it right now. I don't mind.
I feel like it makes
We can
sense
wait.
for Gigantomachia to feel this way, though. Considering he's like a loyal dog that was just left behind for years, decades, probably even more than that.
Yeah, and then abandoned again during the war. But yeah, I think he's just
Big monsters have feelings too, I guess.
yeah,
He's a human being.
Yeah, he is a
underneath
human
all
being.
that experimentation and fuck. Like, because even when he's like sitting there calling him, he's like, "My precious, lovable Machia." Like, he's sitting there like a dog, but he's a fucking human being. He's a literal
Bro, they're
human
playing
being that was
fair.
submitted to become this. Like, you act like he's a literal animal, but like, this is a brutal, disgusting thing All for One did to a human being at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I don't understand. He had to wait so long before. He couldn't wait a little bit longer for All for One to take over the world. Then he would have been free with him forever.
Yeah, I guess he's just feeling just like super betrayed because he was abandoned twice.
Machia
And All for One
doesn't have much intelligent thought. He's not freaking gonna think that through. He's an emotional he's an emotional being, Like, he's attached, and he was removed from the person that he thought he loved and cared about him the most out of everybody, and that person just left him behind for over, like, for how you can't even quantify. Like, it's been like several decades maybe that All for One abandoned him.
I mean, I think this suffers from kind of the same thing that a lot of the things in this last arc are suffering from, which is like just a touch of buildup could have been useful in this moment. But I mean, we've beat that drum so many times that there's certain points where I'm like, all right, I get it. There are certain things that, are going to be revealed and stuff that not necessarily had the buildup that it probably needed for it to all come together full circle. But I feel like Gigantomachia being upset about All for One kind of abandoning him is is enough that I'm like not I wasn't really fixated on it all that much. Like I didn't really think about it. Um
I'd say there are worse things that have happened in My Hero Academia, and this actually makes somewhat sense.
yeah, I don't know.
But at the end of the day, I think Makia's loyalty lies with Shigaraki now. So I think he hasn't fully swung in our favor.
Yeah. I mean, in theory, he would have to. He is betraying All for One because, at the end of the day, Shigaraki will. The whole plan is to make Shigaraki end up as All for One.
So there's still a chance that Makia ends up fucking turning on the heroes again as well to protect Shigaraki instead of All for One.
Yeah.
So this is like truly the passing of the torch for Shigaraki.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know.
just what I think is gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be particularly loyal to Shigaraki after this, but we'll have to see, I guess.
I mean, he doesn't have loyalty to anybody else. Like Shigaraki is the only other person who he will side with in this situation.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we could go into more detailed thoughts when we finish the recap. So we then cut to these helicopters in the sky. I think we were like hinted at these guys' existence when Midoriya was fighting Shigaraki. And I guess the people in the sky coming in were not, I guess, the American soldiers that I think we guessed they were. It seems that these reporters are here to kind of like, who were inspired by the events that are going on right now and have basically come to help. We see a reporter that interviewed Itadori briefly, not Itadori, Midoriya briefly way back in the day in like the initial chapters of the series actually, who has come back and is like, I remember this boy and he was a UA student, the same one who a year ago was shaking in his boots, and now look at him. And she sees that he's going head to head with Shigaraki himself. And there's this other reporter I remember from when Bakugo was taken, and the media was really grilling heroes about it. And she was one of the ones that came out and was like really, really attacking the heroes. So she's come back to kind of redeem herself and I guess kind of make up for going after the hero so hard in that moment. So she talks about how they had to watch their colleagues step far away, so those who remain on the battlefield chose to do so. And the news outlets worldwide are reporting the fall of Japan. But the truth is, we're here to document the actual story, that it's whether they claim victory or taste defeat, because by showing their story and however it may end, we are unifying people and we're showing the world that it's not over yet, basically, that Japan hasn't just fallen, they're still fighting hard. And we see like little shots of heroes all over the world, and we see the president, we see that weird character from the US. We actually see Death Arms here, who we seen quit.
We see Melissa Shield too from the My Hero Academia movies, from the first one, I think.
Oh, I didn't know. I never watched those movies.
She's so you see the panel with the cat below that. That's Melissa Shield, I think.
Oh, nice.
So I guess this means that the movies are canon. So they're
somewhat. I would imagine they're somewhat canonical, because I remember they said one of Midoriya's supports thing is from like one of the movies.
You know what I hate? I hate when panels cover when text bubbles cover panels.
Yeah, I see a panel here that's covered up.
Like, is that on purpose or what? Like,
I don't know.
because it cover both both text bubbles cover 2 panels.
Yeah, I see it. I see what you're talking about. I don't know. I would imagine that's on purpose, I guess. But
So I just don't understand what the point of it is.
I don't know. I guess it's yeah, this is one of those things that maybe it'll be revised in the Tankoban version.
Also, we've seen this Pharaoh thing, right? We've seen this Pharaoh hero before.
Yeah. Oh shit, do you see who's behind him?
No.
There's no way.
I don't know if
Who's
that's
that?
him. But that hero behind him is the crawler.
There's
Looks
no way that's him. There's
looks
no
like the
way.
Crawler
no,
at the
no,
least.
I don't
The
think that's
crawler. Who's the crawler?
from Vigilantes, like the main character from Vigilantes.
I don't think that's
With
him.
the hoodie on?
It kind of looks like him, but I'm not gonna say it's him.
Why would he be
No.
with the Pharaoh?
His new outfit is different.
Oh,
That's
okay.
not him.
Then never mind.
Oh my god,
It's
I was gonna
close.
lose my shit.
Brian was about to.
There was no way because he's not well, at least not when we left off. Also, they keep shrouding the president of the United States in fucking shadows.
Yeah, I guess they're
Imagine
making.
that, imagine that's Midoriya's dad.
That'd be crazy if Midoriya's dad was the president of the United States. But yeah, that's it for My Hero Academia. Josh, what did you think about My Hero Academia chapter 384?
I think Horikoshi wants to create a lot of emotion and resolve in this last arc. And I'm trying to ride the waves with him and y'all. But then sometimes the boat gets rocked a little too much. And this chapter was one of those examples. It was just a little too much for me. I'll be honest with y'all, I would have been completely fine if Shinso was able to have his moment where he completely took control of Gigantomachia, even beyond getting hit or whatever, and that would have been totally enough for me. But the fact that you had this wild animal harbor all these hard feelings, and let's be clear here, you can leave a dog for like 15 fucking years and come back and it's gonna remember you and love you. So I don't know what y'all niggas is talking about.
He's
to be
not
honest.
a dog though. He's literally
Yeah,
not
but
a dog.
he basically fucking is, man. That's
No,
his
he
whole
isn't.
demeanor.
He's
And I
literally a
already
human being
explained
that was
earlier.
mentally fucking.
And I already explained earlier, like,
He was
dog, you had to
tortured,
already
mentally
wait so
fucking
fucking
rearranged.
long. It's just stupid. And what? So he wasn't gonna tell Gigantomachia, someone that's that big of a deal, like, yo, hold it down for me in the prison. You couldn't communicate that shit with him. Get the fuck out of here. And
that
this
just
is that
shows
sloppy
how
shit I
little
talk
All
about
for
in
One
this
thinks of
series.
him.
Like, this series is so much better than that.
You know,
And that's
you know
aside
what?
from the fact that it would have been nice to have some build up to see that Gigantomachia had a complex emotional side, aside from it being like a comedy thing or something to laugh about.
Comedy thing. What are you talking about?
Yeah, because when they first introduced this character, he was like really emotional or something like that. He was like crying or like and
Damn, it's
walking
almost
around
like
in
they
like a
did set
cloak.
this up.
No, I don't think so.
Him
He said he
crying,
missed.
So
Yeah,
you're
'cause
saying
he
that
missed
this
his
emotional
master,
moment
but,
where he
like,
acts
come
in
on.
emotion was not set up when we first introduced to him when he is acting emotional. You're surprised that the emotional character is acting out of emotion. That's what you're telling
Yeah,
me?
like this towards
That's
him.
what you're telling me.
Yeah. Yeah, that
You're
does not make
surprised
sense to
that the emotional character is acting emotionally.
me. In this regard, yeah.
So look, I get that you would want this to be set up a little bit better. I agree. But I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense because All Might would not All Might. All for One would want you to believe that he is just a fucking dog, right? But he's not. He literally is not just a dog. He is a literal byproduct of torture, manipulation, and mental degradation, bro. He's not a dog. He's a human being that was transformed and fucking disfigured and manipulated to become this. You know, like how all for One treats him is a testament to how he thinks of him. Like the way he just used his quirk to slap Makia was like the equivalent of like smacking a TV when it's starting to fucking bug out, you know? Like that's literally what he was doing. He didn't even say a word. He was just like, "Oh, all right, now get back to work." You know, it was never he never really genuinely cared about Makia. And it showed. And Makia being abandoned for like several fucking decades is still a human being underneath all of that, and the way he conditioned him ended up being a thorn in his side. Like Makia was trained to be loyal, but him being a human being, he recognizes that he wasn't receiving the same loyalty that he was trained to have. So obviously, like, I wish it were fleshed out a little bit more, but I think it makes sense that Makia would do this.
I think you know what? I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense as far as Gigantamakia's emotional mindset. It wasn't fleshed out even a little bit, but
Yeah,
I
I'll
guess
agree
it
with
is plausible. That's fine. That it is plausible. My thing is, what's up with the fucking mastermind who's controlled all of this shit for hundreds of years? You gonna tell me he didn't? He doesn't give a fuck about people, but he's not stupid. You got someone like Gigantomaki, like, come on, you're gonna think that doesn't. All right, what doesn't make sense to me is that he didn't consider that. Like, he just thought that he could treat this guy how the fuck he wants, knowing.
because he thought he was just a he
This
thought he
is
was just a
stupid to
dog.
me. Is that he's so smart sometimes, and then on the flip of a fucking turn, he's this silly, cartoonishly evil fucking villain. That's what doesn't make sense to me. Like, what?
I'll actually agree with you on that,
all the
Josh.
fucking plans in motion. What's going on?
I'll agree with you on that, Josh. Honestly, as much as like I didn't really bat an eye to Gigantomakia's betrayal, like I thought.
And I'm not even saying that shit don't make sense. Like it's just whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah.
As you were saying, Chris.
No, I mean that's just like that's also a point I never really thought of. Is that like the thing about All for One is that he is just he's like touted himself as this like Machiavellian mastermind. Like before this war, he was like, I have every possible scenario planned. And that's that kind of sets up expectations that, you know, he would have contingencies in place, and he would like Makia is too big of a deal in his operation to throw away with that. I agree with that.
Apparently not.
I agree with that, and I think like all for One in general, like his plan kind of stinks. Like this war arc, say what you will about it, he's not doing a good job. He's getting like ramshackled by everyone here. This is not how he
All right,
planned
here's
it.
the thing. Here's my okay. Listen, let me just say it like this, right? Because I get it. It's like, okay, well, that's who he is, right? Or it is. He thought he was a big deal, and the heroes are trying hard, and they're outsmarting him, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, well, I'm gonna tell you this. It makes this a much less fucking rewarding experience for the heroes, at least for me as a reader, as this guy being the final fucking boss. That turns out he's just some fucking clown that was way in over his head that had no idea what he was doing.
That's all right.
I think that's what it's looking like.
No, because you know what happens if he gets everything right, and he's all of a sudden he knows how to counter every single thing, and he has every single thing accounted for. You get fucking Aizen, bro. You get literally no room for the heroes to fucking get any fucking play in the story.
I will say
I disagree with that. Well, I just think it could have been smarter. It could have been, the writing could have been fucking better.
Well, here's the problem with
more time and setup.
Here's the problem with that is that that's all well and good, but Horikoshi made a concerted effort to make everybody know that All for One is kind of Aizen-esque. He really like spent pages saying that he had every fork in the road planned. So you set up that expectation that this is not something he would overlook, if that makes sense.
Or at least the shit he overlooks. Let it be something that the heroes earned.
They made it clear.
They didn't earn that situation with Gigantomaki. They didn't earn that.
They made it
clear. So not only did we not have any... Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, on top of the fact that, like, I feel like it was not really set up that well, or there wasn't that again, him being emotional was more of like a gag thing. Like I didn't take that shit seriously. I don't think any of y'all niggas took that seriously. I feel like
Well, no,
I
it
guess
was
it
like
feels
less.
cheap to me.
He wasn't like emotional. Like he's not an overall emotional character. He is just a devout follower of All for One. So he's not like overall emotional about things. He's emotional about All for One. So he put a lot of stake into All for One, and All for One has not really reciprocated that. And it's very clear that that Makia now sees that All for One is a fucking asshole, and doesn't really care about anybody. So that's why he turned on him, and that makes sense to me. That's like a plausible roadmap to go down in terms of Makia's character. But I think that does kind of reveal another flaw in what Josh brought up with All for One being not the smartest villain he's been touted to be. And it could be that All for One, although is a very intelligent person and a very cunning strategist, he's not the most emotionally intelligent person. Which honestly tracks. Which tracks, we've seen that. We've seen that he doesn't have a lot of like care for people, obviously. So it is just kind of like, it's kind of weird, and I can understand how this like moment feels kind of forced, or like just there's a little bit of a plot hole, that especially since like how big like All for One knows that Makia is a big deal. Makia is a
I'm
powerhouse.
sorry. I'm not giving him that. I'm not giving him that. I'm not giving All for One that he's not, that he was set up to be emotionally intelligent. That's how he manipulated most of the fucking heroes. I mean, most of the villains in that group in the first place. That's why he chose them. That's why the doctor wanted to work with them, because they were people he knew he could. That's his whole thing, manipulating people.
This is what I'm gonna say about
the mastermind of that shit. Now he's not.
That's true. That's fair.
And he really don't have a grip on them people either. He didn't have no grip on Toya. That fucking went up in. Actually, that situation is still being resolved, and I'm actually looking forward to that. So let me.
So look, here's what I'll say about All for One, is that he was never by any means shown to be a perfect fucking villain. He is the ultimate villain. Hold on. He is the ultimate villain. He is up there with All Might, but he is not a perfect character by any fucking means. There have been several times where we have seen that he has holes in his thinking, flaws in his thinking. This has happened several times. Like the new students have been a thorn in his side for a long time, because they're people that he can't account for. Because at this point, like, he doesn't think of them as a problem. Like, until this moment, he didn't think of them as a threat. He believes himself to be a fucking god. You think a god is going to think about literal children as equals or possible thorns that can come in and fucking take him out? No, the only person he was actually concerned about was Deku. He didn't think that the heroes would be able to outsmart him like this. Like, obviously, yeah, sure, he should have accounted for literally everything, but that would make for a fucking lame-ass, boring-ass fucking story. Like, he has to have flaws.
Misunderstanding.
No, he has to have flaws. And his
You're
flaws
right.
were,
He does need to have
and his flaw was that he saw Makia as literally what he was to him, a tool, like a weapon. And he wasn't planning to be in this body forever, so that, like, he wasn't planning this. He was supposed to be in Shigaraki's body by now. He was not supposed to see Makia. So Makia showing up again was not part of his plan. Him encountering Makia in this body was not supposed to happen. The hero's influence caused this to happen. The heroes bringing Makia to him caused this to happen. So at the end of the day, he had a lot of shit accounted for, but the heroes ended up being a lot more formidable without All Might than he thought. He thought once All Might was gone, all he has to do is worry about Deku. All of Hero Society is going to crumble, since they lost literally the foundational aspect of their fucking life. And he was right. All Might fucking was gone, and then what happened? Japan crumbled. Japan fell into fucking chaos. So I hate that we're pretending like he has to have literally every single thing accounted for, and everything has to be right for him to be a good villain. This is decent. I like that. I like it when a villain
You're
when a villain
absolutely
of this
right. It is
caliber.
decent.
I like
It's
that he's being
decent.
challenged. It's better than being ass. It's better than him being the all-knowing, everything works for me kind of thing. I'd rather see him get challenged and see what he can do when he's under pressure. Because now I highly doubt that this is the end for him. I know he can pull out a lot more tricks up his sleeve because he's been around for hundreds of years. Notice how he's not even pressured. He's not even being pressed. He's still composed in this situation. Like, Makia is beating on his ass and he's just straight faced. No panic in his eyes. Like, and we're forgetting how much they're doing to take down one fucking guy. Just one guy. Like, really? We're gonna doubt what he's capable of when they're literally bringing all of this to take down one dude.
I'm just
Like,
not
come on now.
satisfied. It's not about him not I'm not it's not like I don't want to see him fail. I want to see him get destroyed. But I don't it's just the way Horikoshi's been going about it that I guess I wish there was a little bit more to it. Like I said, it makes sense. It makes sense why he would, I guess, be hurt. I wish I had a reason to care more, which sounds, I
think
guess,
that's fair.
super
I think that's
fucking
fair.
subjective. But like, no, because you're saying that, but that's kind of been the point from the beginning that it's like, this is it's very okay. Like yeah, I guess it checks out in the loophole situation. But like, really, okay, I guess Gigantomachia felt some kind of way. I never had any reason to believe that Gigantomachia felt some kind of fucking way about this dude. So it just didn't have it didn't have that punch. It's like
I'll agree that the
this is
setup wasn't as
listen. When
good.
it came down to it, I didn't make a big point about this because I wanted to tell you, oh, there's a fucking loophole in this story, and I like that. I wanted to. I asked you, but I think before the podcast started, I said, "How do y'all feel about that?" Yeah, I was okay with that. I think that was my words. It's like how it made y'all feel, and both of you guys said that y'all were totally fine with that, which is fine. But I wasn't, and that's part of the cool thing about this podcast is that sometimes if I can't articulate it immediately, I can try to when I talk to y'all, but it's pretty much more of the same. The root cause is still
Yeah.
the issue that I wish there was a little bit more of a reason to these things other than just it feels like he's making this shit up week to week. It's like because of course he knows his own story, and it's not hard to make shit make sense. You know what's hard to do? Create a compelling story with themes that you've been working on for a while. That's engaging to me. Not this. It's lit. Don't get me wrong. It is lit. But when a series like Undead Unluck is making me think a little bit more about the relationships in my life and shit and the decisions I make than fucking My Hero Academia, which is supposed to kind of be a commentary on society, or at least like aspects of it through through heroes and superpowers and shit. I don't know. That's I'm trying to put these thoughts together in a way that doesn't just sound like me fucking whining that it's not what I want it to be, because it's more than just that. I don't want stories to be the way I want them to be, but this was a different series at some point. Like, you can't tell me otherwise, man. It wasn't like this. It wasn't always fucking like this, and I'm getting tired of like complaining about it again.
Because we forget that the past few chapters are actually pretty fucking good, and it feels like every time My Hero gets even like a subpar chapter, we're back to treating it like it's always been ass, but it's not. It hasn't been like bad. It hasn't
Don't
been bad
confuse me having
recently.
fun with the chapters. Me thinking I don't think My Hero Academia has been solid for a long time, to be honest with you, Brian. But I know that's probably me how I feel exclusively. But I'm not excited to read this shit week to week. I don't care what happens in the story. I know it's gonna happen. They're gonna beat All for One. It would have been nice to see what
That's
lessons was
unfair.
going to
No,
be learned
that's
from it.
unfair. That's unfair.
But I
Because
don't think
that's
that we're
an
gonna
unfair
learn
way to look at
anything.
it.
I
Because
think-
then
I
you
think
could
my-
look
I
at
think-
you
I
could literally
think
look at One Piece and be like,
Deku's
oh, I
gonna
know what's
mop
gonna
this
happen.
nigga
Luffy's
up.
gonna beat Blackbeard. Like
No,
that's
I think we're gonna learn. No. We can have that argument if you want, because I think One Piece talks about addresses a lot of things about what about like. There's a lot of historical implications to that series, and I think Oda's going to make a point, or as he continues to make points, as he's going to delve into the Void Century and what it actually means to be the Pirate King.
yeah, no, I know
For
that.
someone
But
like Luffy,
you're like, oh, I know what's
I
gonna
don't-
happen. They're just gonna beat All for One.
No,
Like,
no, but
that's an
listen to
unfair
what I'm
comparison,
saying,
though.
What are we gonna learn in this situation? That they stopped the psychopath? Okay, they stopped Hitler. We know that mass murder's bad. Like, there's nothing complex about that. Nothing
doesn't have to be
challenging about
complex.
that.
It doesn't
Yeah,
have
well,
to be
it
complex.
could be. It should.
Like obviously, My Hero
thought it
was
gonna be.
touted on that before, but it doesn't always have to be like that. At the end of the day, it's a shonen manga, man. Like not everything has to be in a completely complicated like story thread. Like this dude is a cartoonishly evil man. Like you really expect it to be like always.
Yo, he
about
was the
depth?
man with the plan, though, Brian.
He is. He
Do
still
you
is the
remember
man
how
with
he
the plan.
felt? All right.
Do you see
Remember
how
when he
much
got
they had to
punched in
do
his
to
face
deter him
so
from his
hard?
plan?
Hold up. Remember when All for One hit him so fucking hard it created a hurricane or something crazy like that? This nigga was on the stretcher a million times dead, but still smiling and laughing because he knew, like, it's all good, man. I tried to beat you here, but the ultimate goal was setting up for shit. You know what I'm saying? At that time, man, I looked at this nigga and I was looking at the story like, yo, like, this shit is going somewhere. Like, I didn't think that we were gonna have these two duke it out at a certain point. Like, I was excited and like wondering where they was gonna take it, and he just, like we've been saying earlier, I don't know. He doesn't seem like this super sharp guy. He seems very,
I feel
human.
like it's so because he is. He's supposed to be this. I think the point of this arc is to show that he thinks of himself as a literal fucking god, and this is the series bringing him down to earth. This is the series showing him that there are contenders that before this, no hero society was doing this. This was All Might. What all the heroes are doing right now is a collaborative effort to stop his plan was not them. It was always All Might. So you're really gonna sit here and be like he's being challenged for the first time by heroes that aren't All Might, and we're gonna act like he's trash now. Like the whole point is that he's an inverse of All Might. All Might never saw himself as a god, but he was treated like one. And All for One always thought of himself like a god.
Bro,
So
nobody
this is
even
him showing that this is different.
No one even spoke to Gigantomachia about his situation. He came to that resolution all on his own, off fucking screen, bro.
I agree. It could have
That's
been. I think it
acceptable.
could have been done better.
You feel
I
me?
think it could have been done
Come
better.
on, man. So
I think
comes
it could have
off
been done
as,
better.
Like, it comes off as, oh shit. All for One didn't account for it. Not that, oh man, like he didn't realize how his methods could backfire and such and such. It just seems like, oh shit, it slipped his mind. He forgot about Gigantomachia.
When you haven't used like a
That's the best I
cooking
can reduce
utensil
it.
for like 3 weeks, do you apologize to your cooking utensil for not using it?
Well, I'm a weirdo, so I'm the wrong person to ask.
Do you
but
really?
I
You
guess
do not. You do not.
Well,
Come on
you
now.
know.
Come on now.
I have been cooking recently. Like I said, I'm the
Come on
wrong
now.
person
So
to
you
ask. I think
apologize
the
to your
average.
fucking knife, bro, when you haven't chopped onions for a while?
Well, I have deep I'm deep in complex, unlike All for One.
You're
Okay,
deep-
so
There's something complex about that. I'll tell you what. There's definitely something complex about that.
listen, if you
I
took
don't want
more
my knife
grind,
to
you would
betray me.
understand. Yeah, I don't want my yeah. Or I don't want them to come up missing. I think that's what it is. When you stop using them for a while, they're like, "Oh,
Sorry,
word,
knifey.
watch me disappear."
Okay.
Knife sand.
Come
no.
on now. But you
Okay.
get my point.
Yeah, okay. I think like both of you guys had a pretty hefty and honestly good points across the board debate here. The reason I didn't really like think about it, in any type of way is that like it is just a symptom of the overall problem that we keep talking about with My Hero Academia. So I just kind of like graded on a curve in that sense.
Wow.
Where I'm
Unbiasing himself.
I mean, I wish I had the drop.
I am not worthy of.
No,
your
I mean,
presence.
I mean, we've said as much week after
And
week,
neither is
we're
Brian.
just like, if we're gonna cover this series, and I still want to give My Hero Academia the chance because I think it deserves it. And I agree. I think
Fuck that shit.
but it's like, I understand that like Horikoshi's trying to get to the end game here. And not that he's maliciously rushing through it,
Mm.
but I'm like, we understood this a long time ago that like, look, he's trying to barrel through this thing, and
Not maliciously.
there's just things that I have to understand. Like those are inferences I can make with Gigantomachia coming to the conclusion all by himself. Sure, would have been nice to have a couple panels kind of like showing how he got to that thought process, of course. But it's like it's not big enough of a plot point that I really considered it, especially since we know that All for One is not done here, and he's not gonna just fall to Gigantomachia, and we don't know that he hasn't necessarily planned for any eventuality where anybody can betray him. I'm sure at the very least he knows he has like contingencies for people betraying him, not necessarily preventative measures to prevent people from betraying him, but he expects them to at some point. So in any case, he probably just doesn't really care that Gigantomachia really betrayed him. It's more of an annoyance than anything. Because say what you will about All for One, in his prime, he was the guy. Like he killed.
He was indeed a man 100 grand.
He was like, and he is currently at the age he was when he was the guy. So like,
And he still is though. Like
he still is to a degree. I mean,
I just don't understand why like I get that the series has a lot to be leaves a lot to be desired, but no villain has ever gotten this much allocated to taking him down.
No, I agree. I agree that the idea of All for One underestimating the rest of Hero Society was a very built up thing. Like he for sure like expected and was proven to be right that Hero Society would crumble. And that's just like part of the arrogance that we're seeing here being on display, that it did backfire on him because he really did underestimate them. And I think that's firing back on him in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it is, I'm just considering all the options here and taking all the points in and finding it interesting that all of this to me is perfectly like fine, but
Perfectly fine.
well, it's fine. I'm not. Don't. I'm playing semantics here with my wording.
I'm playing the semantics.
But it's like, I don't know. I guess like I will say that will always stick out on my mind. That Horikoshi, his one mistake is like trying to, because he didn't have to include that one scene where he was like, I planned for every fork in the road. Like he didn't have to do that. That builds an expectation. That's a little bit of a mistake. But I didn't obviously. I thought this chapter was fine when I read it.
I didn't take his word for that. I don't want Gia to get me wrong. I didn't take his word for that. I knew it's not like you hear that. But this isn't the first fucking series I've read, right? Like, I don't think anybody reads something like that and they're like, "Oh man, that's it. He's got this.
No,
He's
for
gonna
sure.
win the series."
For
Right?
sure.
I
I
know. It
guess
was like,
like
nah, nigga, you think. But like, I wanted to see him really get thwarted
yeah.
with thought and time and
Well, the thing is,
narrative build up.
that's why this particular plot point wasn't necessarily harmful to me because I can see how Gigantomachia got there, and it makes sense because of the inferences we got throughout the series here, where
And
every time we've seen Gigantomachia, he's always alone. Like he was always looking for All for One at any given point. Even when Shigaraki approached him, he was more loyal to All for One. He was always looking for him. So, and all of that makes sense of why he'd feel betrayed, being like this kind of, although still human, he's still a simple-minded kind of creature who devoted his entire life to a person and watched him turn tail and run twice. So it's I understand the side of this. That's why I didn't really think about this much. I was like, this is fine, and it's not that big a deal. All for One's just probably gonna smoke Gigantomachia and be done with it, and the series will
See, I
continue.
don't think so. I don't think that's look. Like Josh said, he is a manipulator. Like he just didn't think that Gigantomachia was capable of this much complex thought after everything he did to him.
the only
Like-
manipulator here is you, Brian. You manipulate your brain to believe these chapters are great.
No, I don't believe that it's
No,
great.
I just
I don't
needed
think
to say
it's
that.
it's
I'm
the
sorry.
best shit that's
I
going
didn't mean
on.
that.
Like I'm
had the
not saying
urge.
this is the best shit he's put out, but I'm willing to try to see reasons why to enjoy it.
Hey, I'm
Like
doing the same thing.
It's not bad. It's not as bad as
Well, Christian's
fucking
right there with you,
shit
bro.
before this.
I am right there with you. I am trying my
He's
best.
right there with you.
Well, I will say I am also trying, but also the trying is a problem.
Yeah, that like I said, I agree with like seeing flaws in the way that things are set up and the way that things are playing out. Like, but I do understand where he was going with
Hey,
it.
look, man, I praise My Hero Academia when I feel like it should be praised, and I take it apart like any other series.
Have you guys ever seen Space Jam, the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when they steal the basketball player's talent? That's what happened.
No.
Jujutsu Kaisen came out. They said, "Let me shake your hand."
Well, he still
Gigi
has a lot
after
of the
time said,
talent.
"Horikoshi, can I shake your hand?" And
That
he
would be hilarious.
stole his narrative ability
Jesus Christ.
and
Well-
engagement
Well,
skill.
we spent a long time on My Hero Academia.
We did.
But
I love it. I love the series. I said it. I hate it so much, but I still love it.
yeah. Yeah.
I hate that it turned out this way though.
Well, that's our feeling, Brian, really. It's just that we're taking it a little harder sometimes.
That's it. I'm actually being very theatrical for the podcast. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all
No,
niggas
I-
and everyone
like,
listening. Sorry.
I'm
But
not saying
no,
that
like,
I hate. I'm not saying that I
there's
hate
real
that you guys
sentiment
treat it
there.
this way. I hate that, like My Hero, like almost every other chapter or every chapter is such a fucking like such a how do I say it? Such a polarizing piece. Like it used to be like a simple series that we could enjoy, but at some point it just
Last
became
arcs are
really
hard, man.
hard to just easily enjoy. You know?
Last arcs are crazy. I don't know. I don't know how many series actually survived their last arc. Full Metal
Yeah, I have
Alchemist was
PTSD.
Full Metal Alchemist was a great last arc. Damn, what else? Yu Yu Hakusho had a great last arc.
Can't even think of something.
I didn't like Aisho's last arc. That's one.
Yikes.
I guess it's just a shame that this fell into the same trend, you know?
Yeah. I liked Haikyuu's
Well-
last arc. I thought that was really good. I know
The
Josh
cool
doesn't
thing
agree.
about this
but
series
Hey, Gravity
is
Boys
that,
had
like,
arc.
hey, Gravity Boys. What?
you had to be there. You had to be there, guys. Some good times.
Oh my god.
I truly believe that at any point, Horikoshi could go to his editor and say, "You know what, man? Enough is enough. I'm not ending this next year. I'm ending it in 10 years.
That would be crazy.
This is
I
only
don't
part
think
2
he
of a
can.
part
That would be
5
wild.
war."
I don't think I would. I think it. I think at this point we're past that
I'm
point,
ending it
man.
in 10 years.
I think
Okay,
10. I think
maybe I went crazy.
that was
Okay,
wild.
maybe I jumped out the window of the Empire
10 years
State
goes
Building
crazy,
just now.
dude.
Okay, but maybe he'll just say, "I have a lot more time than I think I do."
I think he's. I think
And
he's.
maybe we'll see it in his writing.
I think
There's
he's
no
fast
reason
forwarded too fast, and he's at the
he
end of the
can
road.
milk the shit out of this last.
Yeah, but I don't
arc
want
if
him
he
to.
What the
wanted
fuck
to.
I would
happened?
rather-
What happened?
I would rather that be
where did it
over.
all go wrong?
For me,
Bro,
or you're saying, or you're
after-
genuinely asking, Brian?
No, I'm genuinely asking. When did
After-
the series?
I
After
would
my
say
villain.
as early as Overhaul.
No, I would say
personally,
after my villain.
I know you. You know why you say that? Because there were still good moments after that, but that's where it started for me. I seen the cracks.
I liked
Post.
Overhaul's arc.
It was cool to me.
I liked it. I
It
thought
was
it was a good arc.
weird that. All right. I thought there was opportunities for them to give us more of like the other classmates, and that's where he started to show that he just wasn't going to go that route.
Well,
I
look,
thought we was going to get more,
as
a
some,
little bit more with Uraka and
Yeah.
and Froppy with the Dragon Lady.
yeah, no, I
a
agree.
little bit more, something a little bit more substantial, and their fight was reduced to a fucking
It was a page. It was
a
page one.
narrative moment, like a plot device for another fight later. It was fucking dumb, yo. I don't know. It wasn't
Well-
it wasn't dumb. It wasn't what I expected.
I will say this: after reading it from the beginning again, I realized My Hero's not that kind of series. It just isn't. Like even during the sports festival, there weren't many like fleshed out fights. It just wasn't that kind of series
So you
But
think
it was
we're-
stu-
where
it
every-
was supposed
blinded
to
by
be.
nostalgia.
where every
No.
character.
The beginning is where you plant seeds. So when things are happening, you're just like, okay, this is something to follow.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I thought it was forgiving. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I should read it again.
Yeah, I
But-
mean, I think it helps to contextualize everything. I try to reread stuff just to remember shit and just really like kind of see how things fare out as a bulk series. I think My Hero Academia reads better as a bulk series, to be honest. But yeah, it just wasn't that kind of series, and I guess like maybe we are a little bit just like seeing it for what we want it to be as opposed to what it is. I still don't think that negates anything we're saying. I think there's still like weird structure problems with My Hero Academia, even back in the day. But you know, yeah, I think last arcs are just hard, especially since like My Hero Academia has had such like a weird ride over its run. I think Horikoshi himself, if you read the volumes, like he's stated a lot that this story has lasted a lot longer than he wanted to actually. Like he thought it would be a little shorter than what it is.
to me.
Yeah, he keeps saying that, and I'm like, oh wow, how short was this supposed to be? Which is fine. I mean, you know, a story needs to end
Sounds
when
like
it
some
ends.
hockey man level coping right there.
That's what he said.
I just
That's out of his, and I believe him.
I just
believe him, to
wonder
be frank.
like why didn't well, I guess I don't know, maybe it's really weird to say, but like I don't know if he's going to be able to strike lightning like he did with this series again, you know?
I think he can. I think like, you know, he's a guy who's just like had 3 series in Jump actually. Like counting My
He had
Hero
Barrage,
Academia.
right?
He had Barrage, he had a series before that, and there's My Hero, and there's
But they
probably
both
like
got canceled now.
yeah. I think he can. I think he can do it. He's clearly a talented dude. He's a magnificent
His
artist.
art is insane. Like I think he should just be an artist for something. I don't know. Like
I would read anything else
Still
from
do it
him.
with the story.
If-
I think
Imagine-
he could still do it.
I think he could still
Imagine-
do it too.
Just not the
Imagine
way
takes
I
over-
want it.
imagine he takes
the
over as the
beginning.
artist for Hunter x Hunter or some shit.
That would be
Woo!
awesome.
That'd be cool.
That would
Man,
be fucking wild.
We won't get the weirdo faces. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure he could still do weirdo faces.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would read any if he were to end My Hero Academia and do another series, I'd read it in a heartbeat. Obviously, um, I don't think he's a bad mangaka. I just can't. We, I think there's a lot of things to consider in My Hero Academia. It's a very interesting case in manga history, to be honest, for a series to be so well received, but also very panned. You know,
Naruto is in that bucket too
towards the
for a
end.
little while. Yeah.
I think he was just caught off guard by how successful this series would be.
Yeah, maybe that's
Because
entirely possible.
this series did get a lot of attention, and it did get a lot of negative attention too. So
Yeah. All right.
You know what gets a lot of attention as well?
What?
Our podcast, because I believe Juju Akutame definitely listens because
Yeah.
he responded to us in the
Well,
first page of his chapter, the first 2 pages of this chapter.
Honestly, we should probably get to it because we're getting close to an
Yeah.
hour of talking about My Hero Academia only. So, yeah, those are our thoughts, I suppose.
classic My Hero.
I mean, this was crazy.
Just a single little like disagreement turns into an hour.
Well, you
fucking
boys are
coverage.
passionate boys. I'll tell you that. You guys got fire in you.
This
but-
was a classic Josh versus Brian episode.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have your bouts. And I'm just here in the middle. I'm just like, can't we all just get along? But all right, let's move onward to Jujutsu Kaisen. This is Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 218, Bath Part 3. Last we left off, Yorozu and Sukuna in the Megumi siblings' bodies, the Fushiguro siblings' bodies are going at it. Sukuna wants to kill Sumiki, Yorozu and Sumiki's body so that he can completely break Megumi's spirit and have complete control over his body. And Yorozu wants to express her love to Sukuna by killing him. Weirdo sorcerer shit, as per usual. A lot of the ancient sorcerers are just a group of weirdos, frankly.
Grade A psychopaths.
Yeah. We open this chapter with Yorozu in the past kind of, researching techniques because way back in the day she realized that compared to other curse techniques, her construction curse technique used cursed energy insufficiently. So basically, although she had a lot of output, she was like on par with the toughest fighters in the Heian period, which is like the period for Jujutsu. That was like the Great Ninja War era, where or the War of the Best in like way back in One Piece, like the Rocks Pirates era. That was that for Jujutsu Kaisen, where there was just a bunch of tough sorcerers going around, and she like stacked up in terms of just output of cursed energy. She stacked up to them, but there was an immense consumption on her part of cursed energy, where she could put out a lot, and her technique just used so much of it. So she did a lot of research into how to improve her technique. And we see that she researched insects. Actually, she saw that a butterfly was able to cross the sea, and a vespene, I hope I'm saying that right, a vespene wasp can fly over 100 kilometers in a day. So she basically used insects as as inspiration to kind of craft her invincible armor, her weird bug armor that she is now wearing. So, as per usual, Jujutsu Kaisen explains everything. And with this power, she was able to defeat a force directly serving the Toe, the 5 empty generals, which were, I guess, a big deal villain group back in the day. And she was acknowledged by the Fujiwara clan, which, correct me if I'm wrong, that was like the clan that Okotsu is like tangentially related to, if I remember right.
He's definitely related to one of the clans.
So he's kind of related to Gojo, and he's kind of related to them too.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Fujiwara.
Fujiwara. And we cut back to present times where Yorozu is just like beating the brakes off of Sukuna, but Sukuna is not really pressed about it. He summons a shadow thing, like one of the Shikigami, and as he's getting kicked around, he has the Shikigami create like this weird shroud, this drapery to, I guess, like just obstruct her vision for a second. And in that moment, he creates he summons the Shikigami known as Round Deer, and the Round Deer Shikigami actually heals him with reverse curse technique, and he summons a piercing ox to basically just tackle Yorozu away. And we get an explanation about the 10 Shadows technique, and talking about how not giving a stable form to the 10 Shadows technique had expanded its effective range and prevented complete destruction, I guess, of Sukuna. I don't know.
No, of the Shikigami.
Okay. And
Because they can die, right?
right, yeah, you're right. They can die. And I guess like he basically made them not necessarily killable, but the drawback is that they couldn't operate independently. So, they were just kind of like these mindless shadow creatures that couldn't die necessarily. But,
He's using them more like moving, like projectiles more than anything else.
right.
Yeah, like chess pieces.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. But Round Deer and Piercing Ox are, real deal Shikigami, the stable forms and all that stuff. So they were able to, use all of their capabilities. And we see that Piercing Ox has the ability that, it can move in a straight line, but the longer it's charging, the more powerful it is. So, it manages to push it manages to knock Yorozu away, actually creating a crack in her armor through the like little face thing. And we see the rabbit escape Shikigami coming out of nowhere, just like blocking her vision again. And we see that Sukuna is now skywalking to the top like Sanji, and drops the max elephant on her. And he
Like Kirby's down B.
yeah, basically he turns into he basically does the town beef for Kirby, and it causes a massive explosion. Actually, it seems to shatter the armor right off of Yorozu.
Roy's armor.
Yeah, and at that point Sukuna descends again, and he's like, "See, I don't need malevolent shrine. Is this all your love amounts to?" And she's like, "I have more to teach you about love and ultimate strength and the solitude it brings. I'm the one who will teach you about love." And Sukuna goes, and Yorozu's like, "What? Does he already know about love?" And she's like, "No, this can't be. I'll show you true love." And the chapter ends with her exclaiming that she will construct and show him her heart. And that's where the chapter ends. Josh, what did you think about Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 218?
Okay, so I had an issue with this chapter. You know why?
Why?
Because I feel like I'm supposed to feel emotional over this insect lady character that I don't know about because she's brand new. And you see how that doesn't work with this series? Because it's not about it having an emotional impact with her. We just met this sorcerer character. What's lit is the fucking fighting for this chapter. Right?
Yeah.
All right, I wasn't really trying to make a point. I was being petty. I can't help myself, guys. This was close to being the RGC, but it was not. Because there were two really lit chapters this week that had a lot of action in it, and one usurped this one. But I like the explanation we got about the 10 shadow technique. I don't really understand why the first handful are I guess not full embodiments of the technique. Like I don't know why they're not stable. Maybe because like he's pumping too much cursed energy into them. I'm going to look.
No, I think that was on
explanation
purpose.
again.
Like that was a move.
Huh?
That was a move by him. Like he's not.
Oh. You're right. They're saying by not giving it a stable form, it expanded its range. Okay, so he was sacrificing the agency of the shadows forms to move on their own for just stronger techniques. I get it. That makes
Yeah.
sense. But in the case with the bull and with the bull and the deer, I guess he decided to use them in their full forms because as they are, they're effective for what he wanted to accomplish.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And I guess you could say same with the rabbits. And I would assume that with the Max Elephant, he probably created an unstable version of it because he doesn't need it to have agency. He just needs to be as strong as possible.
Well, it's not just
So
about the
he,
agency, it's also, like their actual like powers and stuff.
hmm. So maybe he just used Max Elephant normal.
Yeah,
Because
I would say so. Because that's how Megumi
right.
uses him. He just drops him on people.
Okay. Yeah, I went into this thinking that that he couldn't give the earlier forms like a stable form. All right, I'm glad I reread that. But yeah,
Yeah,
this
he
was
just did that to keep them stable, to make sure that if they get dispatched, that he could bring them back.
okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I love how we got an explanation for her bug form immediately because it was such a weird creative decision, and then it made complete sense. I mean, insects, as much as I can't fucking stand majority of them, they are awesome creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Their biology is insane. Like it started making me fear. Yo, okay, do you guys remember that movie from a long time ago about like these bugs from space? There's like these people in a like, space army. Oh man, it was so fucking graphic. People were getting
People
eaten
from
by these big
space.
ass bugs. They were shooting them up. What was the name of that movie, yo? And they had the big fucking brain. They had the brain bug at the end of the movie, and it was like eating people's brains. That's how it was getting smart. And yo, oh my god, that movie gives me the shivers thinking about it. I think that's why I hate insects.
I actually
I
don't know
seen
this
that
one.
movie. Yeah, I don't know what movie I'm talking about.
No.
I don't think so.
Guys, leave a comment, please. Yo, it was so fucking crazy, man. They was fighting a huge army of these insects. They're fucking big, like huge. Oh man, I gotta look this up. Brian, do you think you could like run a Google search? Big insect army fights against big insect monsters in space. And no, it's not Galaga. So
Insect.
yeah, this had she kind of gave those vibes a little bit.
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers, is that the name of it? Yo,
I don't know.
that movie
Humans
was
in a fascist militaristic future wage war against giant alien bugs.
yes, yes, that shit is crazy.
Oh wait, I think I've heard of this.
I know y'all seen that before.
haven't
Anyway, I'm
seen
I've
it.
gonna
probably
move
never
on.
seen it, but I know I've heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of I know the title.
Oh, Nightmare Fuel, guys! I'm telling you, don't watch it before you go to sleep.
Well, I won't watch it at all. How about
I
that?
don't care how grown you are. I don't care how many children you have, how many responsibilities, what shit you've been through in your life. Don't want you watch that movie and you're gonna look at a beetle differently. You're gonna look at a motherfucking fly. Anyway, Jujutsu Kaisen was lit. Brian, what was your thoughts?
This chapter solidified the fact that Sukuna is the goat of curse technique. Like, he already like just spending just a little bit of time in Megumi's body is already using his own curse technique better than he ever did.
Ever.
Ever. And he's
Way
doing it in
cooler.
the most efficient and methodical way fucking possible. It's actually crazy the amount the amount that he's fleshed out the 10 shadows. And at the end, I don't think this chapter is trying to get you to have an emotional attachment to Yorozu.
I was joking. I didn't think
Oh.
that at all.
I think so. There's only so Gojo has mentioned it before, where he believes that love is the strongest curse is the strongest curse of all, right?
That
And there's only one other character I think that uses love, and that's Yuta, I think, right?
yeah, I think he
I
does
think
actually.
Kinda.
I
Well,
I think
because of Rika,
Yuta's
is like
Actually, yeah.
when he uses Rika.
I think he's the only one that uses love as a cursed energy. Um and it looks like I don't know what she's trying to do here. Maybe she's trying to love Sukuna like for her own selfish needs, or I'm not sure what exactly her objective is with showing, because Sukuna should know that love is like a powerful source of curse technique, right?
Yeah,
Like since he's the goat.
yeah, I
Um
would think so. But I
so
don't
it's
think he's
weird.
particularly worried about anything, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm just confused why she's so bent on why she's so shocked that he would know about this when he's literally he's I'm pretty sure he's up there with the greatest of all time. So I just find it odd. Of course, first page of the next chapter, we're gonna get an entire fucking textbook understanding of why she thought this and why Sukuna wouldn't have known, but how he found out. Like,
Yeah, I'm sure.
we're gonna get everything within the first 2 pages. But I'm just a little confused as to like I would have gave this chapter the RGC too if not for the last 2 pages here. Because it did confuse me a bit. Like maybe a little too vague for its own good.
Weird cliffhanger.
Yeah, weird cliffhanger. It's very confusing. It didn't leave me excited about the next chapter. It left me like, what the fuck?
What do you mean?
Yeah, that's
Right?
exactly what.
What are you
What do you
talking
mean,
about?
Gege? What do you mean? But yeah, those are my thoughts. Really, really fun chapter until the end.
Shimon.
Fucking loved everything Sukuna did.
Yeah, the main attraction here is Sukuna doing stuff. To be honest, it's really interesting every time he's on scene, because just because how much expertise he has on this world, like he's even among like the strongest characters in the series, he has like a fundamental understanding of this power system that n- most people don't have. Um, so that's always interesting to see him work. I'm not totally sold on Yorozu yet, but I'm giving it time just because.
On an emotional level,
Yeah, I'm not like it. I don't really like Yorozu. Out of all like the new characters that we've been introduced to over the course of the Culling game, Yorozu's so far probably like my least favorite.
no setup.
I'll agree.
And it's because Gigi's rushing this fight.
I wouldn't say there's no. Well, a lot of the ancient sorcerers have no setup, but I don't think they need it.
I think he's just
Nah, I'm
memeing.
playing, bro.
He's just
I'm
memeing.
using the argument for I'm memeing for my hero.
No, yeah, it's not a setup issue for me. It's more like I'm giving it time. I'm sure that like I'll come around on Yorozu. It's just right now I'm not like totally sold.
Yeah, she's alright. I
yeah.
like her ability.
Yeah, she's cool. I'm just
Her
like
technique is lit.
I think like compared to so many other sorcerers that we've met, I've been more enamored with a lot of different sorcerers after like 1 or 2 page introductions than I have with Yorozu in her time so far.
Yeah, she's kind of underwhelming a little bit.
But
I'm not gonna lie.
I'll wait till next week. I think, obviously I think we're gonna see a little bit more. And I'm excited to see how that goes. That's my only knock, I guess, on this little fight so far, is that I'm not necessarily like invested in Yorozu as a character yet, but I'm sure that'll change. Seeing Sukuna do his thing is always super cool and peak fiction.
In peak fiction.
But
There's something about the way, like, I don't know how to describe it, but every time he shows up, there's just something about the series that just feels different, like he just feel like the way that he carries himself feels so different from anybody else in the series.
yeah, that's what the cool thing about Sukuna is that we've seen him so seldomly, and like that goes really well with the buildup that we've had with him so far. That he's a character that like really lives up to his mystique and all that stuff.
You know what it is? The only other person that matches him is Gojo. Like whenever he's on screen, you know that whatever he wants to do, he's going to get it done. Like you just feel comfortable around him for some reason. Like you know that, all right, there's not going to be any twists here. This guy's going to do what he's going to do.
Yeah. No, there's a definite there's an inherent gravity to Sukuna from the very beginning of the series that, has it's really cool that Gege has actually been able to do this, to keep him so like mysterious and so powerful and such a like a weight on this series for so long.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. He's better than Kurama.
Oh wow.
Who's
I
that?
said it.
Nine-tailed Fox.
The nine-tailed fox. Sukuna, I think this is the best this trope has ever done it. Having a fucking monster within the main character, like a demon in the main character.
Yeah, I think it's the only reason. I feel like it's unfair to compare the two just because Kurama was like Kishimoto was trying to do something, different from Akutami at this point, but there is just like something to be said about following through with a premise and not necessarily like changing it up and changing someone's mind. And it's something that we don't see in shonen when like there's an inner demon type trope where they eventually turn and are a friend, whereas Sukuna is a giant asshole the whole time. There
He
doesn't
really is.
and that consistency is refreshing in this genre. Or not a genre necessarily. Shonen's technically not a genre, but
Wait, shonen is not a genre?
no, it's a demographic technically. Shonen means like boy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Boys magazine. Like Shonen Jump is a boys that's why Shoujo beat Shoujo's girl.
Oh. So
You
that's
know,
why
it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. Like, this is a magazine that people with a penis between their legs would enjoy.
Mhm.
Like, I guess.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, it's
get
not a
it.
definitive thing, but I guess like back at they're written with demographics in mind and stuff. We give them the title of shonen because these battle series really they're action series. That's a genre. These action
Yeah.
series have a shared sentiment that is shared within the demographic that these things are aiming for. Like this is for boys, and it's an old style way of thinking, obviously, but there's obviously readers of all across the entire gender spectrum of all these series.
Is this a shonen podcast?
Yeah, I mean the majority of this is a
So
boys
is our
podcast.
for
we
boys?
accept all kinds of genders here.
We do, we sure do.
So are we binonin?
Binonin?
Binonin.
I
bro.
feel like
Yeah.
that's not because the girl is
That's when they
shoujo.
created that.
So
Oh, the Shojonen?
girl is shoujo. Like the main, like the Shonen Jump for girls is Shoujo Beat, if I understand right.
Shonenjo.
Shonen Jump and Shoujo Beat. But anyway, that was
Shonenjo.
a bit of a
Our
detour of a thought.
podcast is Shoninjo. That's our demographic.
The what?
Our demographic is Shoninjo.
Shoninjo?
Yes.
Shoujonen?
Shojonen. I like that
Shoujonen?
better.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's your fun fact for the week. I wish I had my soundboard so I could play the more you know. But yeah, that's all I had to say. Really, is that that's why this is Sukuna as a character is refreshing. Is that he doesn't seem like he's gonna double back anytime soon, and if he does, it'll be for his own shitty reasons. But
Agreed.
I don't have any other thoughts. Do you guys have any rebuttals before we move on?
Nah.
All right. All right. Let's move
All
on.
right.
Let's move on to Chainsaw Man.
Someone.
Yeah, we're gonna cover 2 chapters real fast. Because at the time of this podcast, 125 was just released, so we're doing 124 and 125 as we haven't spoken about 124 this week yet. And last we
Nobody gave JJK the RGC, right?
no,
What about My Hero?
no,
No.
Right? My Brand Academia?
No, not this week.
Oh, it's not My Brand Academia.
Oh my god.
this
All right,
week.
anyway. We're not gonna get back into a My Hero Academia debate.
Motherfucker, I'll do another hour. Don't fucking
Another
play with me.
15 minutes, maybe?
No.
Don't play with me. I'll do a full fucking hour of My Hero again.
All right. This is Chainsaw Man chapter 124. Soup. Last we
I
left
forgot to
off.
read Black Clover.
What?
I forgot to read Black Clover. Let me read that real quick.
Jesus Christ, Brian. Anyway,
Be Shonen.
so last we left off, the falling devil has arrived and is a chef for some reason and is just making meals for a weird.
My brain, bro, it hurts. What is the symbolism there?
Oh
Don't
man,
get it.
you know we'll get into
What
it
angel
later.
is this? What demon is this?
It's the falling devil.
Do you fall when you eat? This food falls
I don't
down
know.
into
I
your
don't know.
stomach?
But anyway, we'll try to break it down when we cover when we go to our thoughts. So the whole world, if you fall into your you fall upward based on how you know, like if you get lost in your own trauma, like if you give in to your fears, you involuntarily start to fall upward towards the sky. And Asa was stuck directly into a past trauma in her life, and thus she started falling upward. And Yorozu has come in to kind of try to snap her out of it. And you know, she eventually like lets go of this railing that she was like holding on to, and Yorozu says, "Repeat after me, nail knife," and they say it both simultaneously. And man, this made me cringe. Like Asa's index finger nail pops out and becomes a knife, and I'm like, oh fuck, I hate nail shit. Like
Yeah, it's too real.
gory nail things is one of those things where I'm like, fuck. You know, when you feel something, like when you're watching something, it's a nightmare. But yeah, Asa falls back to the ground because she has snapped out of her traumatic flashback. So you know, she's basically got to keep her fear away in order to make this work. Is there a drowned cat there? Man, don't play with me with that. So Yorozu keeps like cutting herself to keep Asa from thinking about, you know, her past and stuff and falling upward. But it keeps happening because she's just like afraid in general. Like Yorozu's like, "You're afraid of me. That's why you're falling. I'm desperately trying to keep your body alive. Why are you fearing me? Trust me, you idiot." And Asa's like, "How can I trust you? I don't know anything about you. You always take over my body and you say scary things and you cut my hand." He said, "Because you're afraid." You know, so Yorozu tries to break it down plain and simple, and she's like, "Yo, the devil's power makes you negative, and you know, like you got to think this through rationally. With my agility, we might escape. Your fear jeopardizes your survival." And she's like, Asa says that like, "Well, you could look inside my mind and see, right, what I'm really afraid of." And she explains that, you know, she has trust issues, but she's lonely, so once in a while she'll approach someone, but it always goes wrong for her. So, you know, she's afraid of solitude and companionship, you know? And I'm like, damn, that is deep and very real. I feel like that's a real thing that a lot of people go through. We then cut over to the falling devil, who has this poor person just contorted in a weird way, and their eyeball is like sticking out, and she's like carting them over to this fucking gross worm thing. I don't know what the fuck this shit is. And she
It
basically
seemed like
what?
no. Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, this chapter ends with like this worm thing just eating this person, and she says it's almost time to serve the main dish. Its name is Asa Root Yoru, a human and war devil fusion.
Oh, she named her in person. Ew.
She said, "I know who both of you are."
No.
So not good. As we start,
Imagine that thing knowing you personally.
sheesh, I would fall up. I would just let myself fall upward.
Yeah, I'm losing. Yeah, absolutely. Without a doubt.
I'm just jumping off and flying into the sky and dying. It's fine. I don't need it.
Like, peace.
So we cut over to Chainsaw Man chapter 125, Apple Thief. And down the street, just people are getting their eyes and ears plucked out, and it's obviously just the falling devil cutting these things out of people and being like, 10 eyes, 4 years. That just leaves. And then she just goes to the supermarket and is like shopping for apples. And then she asks this human that she has basically fallen to the fucking ceiling because gravity is negated for her. She basically goes,
Right.
"Excuse me, do you have an apple variety that pairs well with human flesh?" And this person's just scared for her life. She's like, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry." He's
I'm
like,
sorry.
"I'm
Yeah,
sorry."
we actually don't.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh dear, please relax. Unless you attack me first, I mean no harm. Now, about those apples." And then she just like leaves the store, I guess. And as she's walking down, she's like, "Oh man, I forgot. The recipe for the sauce calls for a man's head." And she looks around and she's like, "Excuse me, could somebody spare me a head?" And then all of a sudden, we see devil hunters just train sniper rifles on her and just blow her to bits with these sniper rifles. And obviously, it's not enough to kill the falling devil because she just gets up again and she's like, "I'm sorry, this is awkward. It's impossible for you to kill me with any means of attack humanity presently possesses." But she preferred to avoid meaningless slaughter, so she asks someone to provide her with a head. They continue to shoot her to oblivion, and she's just like, "Ha!" and causes an entire building to break down because of the gravity forcing it upward into the sky. And she takes one of the devil hunter's heads off while he's floating into space. And she's like, "Thank you. All that remains to make the Asamitaka fall dish." Oh wait, all that remains is to make Asamitaka fall, and the dish will be complete. But then we hear a very familiar, and she goes, and giant chainsaw sticks through her chest, and we get a big 2-page spread of Denji pulling up, just walking through her, I guess, and she's just like, "You stole those apples, apple thief," which is, I guess, an extreme punishment for stealing apples, but hey, who am I? But the falling devil counters by basically chopping Denji up into bits, but Denji pulls himself back together and just chainsaws her. And she's like, "My word, this is the first time I've been on the menu." And that's where this chapter ends. Josh, what did you think about Chainsaw Man chapters 125 and 124?
I'm thoroughly weirded out by this falling devil. Every chapter, I think I'm gonna get a little bit more of a grip on who this is and what it represents, and I just don't know.
Yep.
I
I'm right
don't
there with
know. I mean, the worm, fine, right? That's okay. That's totally
Fine.
okay. It exists. It doesn't have to be specifically her worm to her ideology and background. It could be independent. But then she asked for the apples, bro.
Yep.
And that was too much for me. I don't know what's going on anymore. She's making
she's making people fall, but she's also cutting heads off. But I guess she wants to use the parts she catches. Yeah, she catches the head, and she said thank you. So when people aren't falling to their deaths out of fear, she's collecting body parts, and she's a chef.
Yep.
Cooking and falling. Primordial fear. I'm gonna put this together. But in the meantime, Brian,
Yo,
what were your thoughts?
she is quite creepy, quite a creepy. Um, I love it whenever Denji shows up. Denji is the soul of this series, and whenever he shows up, it's just always fucking awesome. And it's nice to see him always get recognition from his opponents for they're like, oh shit, well, I guess this motherfucker. I guess I gotta deal with this motherfucker now.
Yeah.
So I really I enjoyed this chapter a lot. It was a fun read.
Nice.
But I don't have much to really say about it.
Yeah, I'm also. I feel sometimes Chainsaw Man makes me feel not smart. 'Cause I'm like, what are you trying to say, Fujimoto? What are you trying to say by making the falling devil this weird chef lady? What are you trying to tell me here? But aside from that, I thought like the stuff with Asa was really cool and deep. I'm very excited to see where that goes, and in regards to the character development. I'm also glad Denji is coming in full chainsaw form. I'm very excited to see how the Falling Devil like fights. But
Imagine it's the fake chainsaw.
oh, what?
Imagine it's the fake chainsaw man.
I
not
mean,
Denji.
that's entirely possible. That's that thought did run through my head. Is like, is this Denji or just like the fake chainsaw man?
I just wonder when that's gonna pay off.
Yeah. But man, I am stoked. I love Chainsaw Man. I'm hoping that this will be like the first like full battle that we see in the second part of Chainsaw Man, because I don't think we really got one outside of, I guess, the little Justice Devil thing, but that was quick. This feels like more of a bigger bad that Denji could really like fight for a minute.
Yeah, even though it was pretty spontaneous.
Yeah. But I'm stoked for it. Although I don't have any other thoughts outside of that. Do you guys have any rebuttals? Anything else?
Nope, not really.
Alrighty then.
This is our record.
Let us move onward to World Trigger. This is World Trigger chapter 232. The away mission test part 29. Last we left off, lots of stuff was going down. The different squads were basically just strategizing their way to I guess like continue the battle sims. I don't really remember all that much. I think I remember just everybody just kind of adjusting their battle plans as Suicide Squad was starting to take the upper hand. And we left off that chapter with the higher ups recognizing that Chica was struggling. And we start off this chapter kind of like following up with that as Ninomiya's squad is kind of like sighing off one win. They seem to have lost consecutively this week. I mean this in this round of battles, and Chica is noticeably like kind of bummed out. And Ninomiya is like, "You should speak up if you're having an issue." And she's like, "No, I'm fine." And he's like, "Really?" And Emma is just like, "Really? That's all he has to say?" Doesn't he have any advice for her? And yeah, everybody who's monitoring the exam is clearly seeing that Chica is not having a great time. And they explain that she's actually getting beat up pretty bad in the battle sims. Like a lot of people are targeting her right now. And people are wondering why Ninomiya isn't really being a more proactive captain in that regard. And I think Miwa explains that, like, well, it's clearly that, like, he's doing this for some reason. It just may not be the right approach. And Izumi asks why she's getting like wrecked today, and basically they explain that Chica's units have a major weakness. She has a built-in combat inexperience in her overall like unit, so any given attack consumes one additional action token. Um, so she's at a disadvantage there. And as we cut over to Osamu, we see that Osamu has recognized this this weakness and has ordered his team to target Chica first, which I'm like, damn, that's
Ruthless.
cold.
His own teammate.
Yeah. And he explains that Chica actually has a pretty low action token stat, despite her being like a Tryon monster. She doesn't really have that many action tokens to her name. And action tokens count for a lot. That just kind of counts for everything you can do in the game, whether it's moving and attacking. So she's very limited in that regard. So and her combat inexperience that causes her to like siphon even more of those action tokens is an even further disadvantage for her, as she has less moves per her turns. So she's majorly underpowered, and and everybody has recognized that and is basically attacking her, because if they could take out all the Chica units, they have a massive numbers advantage over the rest of their squad.
Mhm.
So that's basically the move there. And yeah, that's basically what everybody's been doing, targeting them. And we cut to a battle sim where Osamu is going up against Ninomiya's squad, and they seem to be doing pretty well against them. They are taking out a lot of units at that point. Um, and at that point, the chapter ends kind of with Ninomiya's team being like, if we lose again, Amatori's going to get really down. And Chica's just trying to think to herself what she can do. And Emma just looks over to Ninomiya asking, in his own mind, like thinking to himself, what are we supposed to do, Ninomiya? And that's where the chapter ends. Josh, what did you think about World Trigger chapter 232?
Man, Ruthless should have been the fucking alternate title for this chapter, because boy, I did not expect Makumo to just be that cold. Like, I know he's all about strategy, and obviously he doesn't. I'm sure he doesn't think this will hurt her feelings, but yo, like, he knows how timid she is. He can't sell her no advice. I don't know. Maybe he thinks because she's with Ninomiya that it's like she's fine. Like, he'll be able to tell her what she did wrong. So whatever they're doing, I'm sure they're all working together. He doesn't know the situation, so it just kind of makes it seem so much more cutthroat. But hey, he developed a stratagem, and they're gonna follow through. That's such a cool word, stratagem.
Stratagem.
Yeah,
It is a really cool
because
word.
you could say strategy, but what is
No,
the difference between the two?
I don't know. Brian, can you look up what's the difference between strategy and stratagem?
Let's see.
But anyway, I guess you could stall for. I don't know if you have any more questions.
Right. So aside from that, I thought that in this chapter in particular, the fighting that they showed was a little bit more fleshed out than
It's
I'm
synonymous.
used to seeing.
Oh, so it means the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, good to know.
All right, no more strategies, just straight up stratagems
From now
now
on, it's straight up
for everything.
stratagems.
Only stratagems. That's all I develop and follow through with.
Yeah, in life, that's just what it is now.
I developed
Actually,
the lead bullet
stratagem
stratagem.
is similar to strategy, but it's more unconventional.
More unconventional.
Yeah, more unconventional strategies.
Oh, like gimmicky almost.
Yeah, stratagems are more gimmicky.
Oh, see, words are important, bro.
They are important.
Anyway, it's also really nice to see Couture confident and thriving with her action abilities. This is cool. I don't, Brian. The other time we covered World Trigger, you were saying that this phase was, you was ready for it to end. I feel like it would be so much more palatable if they paired like these scenes a little bit more with what we were getting. Like if it was mixed in a bit more. Even like, we're not getting full fights, but just seeing the strategies in action, like in motion. It's cool to see Mia losing a lot too. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah, it's nice to see Ninomiya in action.
Yeah.
Again. I think they should
Hey,
just
look at
stick to
Couture
like the
with the
interesting
grasshopper.
parts. They should just stick to the interesting parts of this arc. Like I feel like they're trying too hard to make it super complex, and it's too simple. Like just make this arc is a simple arc, so make it simpler. Like it's not, there's not much else to look at, so just keep it where it needs to be, you know?
You wish he would speed up the pace towards the end of the series?
I just wish
You'd
he
like
would
that,
focus,
wouldn't you?
I wish he would just hone in more on what's interesting about this arc, you know?
No.
No.
Yeah, I bet you don't.
I don't know. Touche.
All right, was that all your guys' thoughts?
Stratagem.
Stratagem. I really like this chapter. As far, I'm starting to feel the fatigue of this arc sometimes, but this was a good one.
Whoa.
I said it last time. I do feel a little bit of the fatigue every now and then from this particular arc. Although, it's not entirely Ashiharu's fault.
This is unbelievable.
But this was a good one. I really liked this one. It didn't feel like too bogged down. I thought it was really cool to see a little focus on Chica because she is one of the main people. I will say that Chica's safe no matter what. So Chica's going on the away mission regardless. She made the deal with them with Mikado, whatever, the main guy, the big guy in Border. He made the deal that like Chica would be going on the away mission no matter what. So Osamu has to do what he has to do to win. So he can be on the away mission as well. And even so, I don't think Osamu would be particularly like, he knows he has to play a game, he has to win. And obviously this isn't like a fucking battle, like where people are really getting hurt. So, huh?
Chica be damned.
Chica's making it no matter what, so that helps. Chica's in, regardless, whether the rest of her squad makes it or not. Chica's going to the away mission.
Regardless of the stratagems she develops.
Yeah, regardless of the stratagems. So I think that's kind of like helping in Osamu's disposition here. One thing I will say that I think is really interesting with how they're handling Chica here is that Chica, for the rank wars, was just like a fucking powerhouse, borderline broken in the game. Especially when she applied a little strategy to it. She was like doing her thing. She was like a massive threat. And I think they disadvantaged her units purposefully so that she could like find a way to be more resourceful outside of her Tryon abilities.
Oh, you think it was something they went out of their way to do?
Yeah,
Whereas
I think
with most other characters, they kind of tried to give them a 1-to-1.
Yeah, I mean, we see it with Katori. We see that with like a lot of these units have like custom things to a little aspect of their counterpart, their real life counterparts, like their abilities. Like Osamu has like the weak Tryon. Katori has an experience with a lot of different roles. She's an attacker, she's a shooter.
Positive ability. It sucks that like only Chica and I guess Osamu, by virtue of having the low Tryon. That's not an ability though. I don't think that's something that was up there as part of his like skills. You know, that's why it was weird that they had that up there for Chica.
Yeah.
That I don't know. Perhaps they did show that with Mukumo
Well,
or with other
I guess
people.
what I'm saying is that everybody has something of a disadvantage in this game, and I think Chica
Yeah.
is Chica, especially as someone who's going on the away mission, no matter what. I would imagine they probably gave her a little extra on purpose, just to like make her a little more resourceful going into the away mission. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of more of attention paid to her, as she's the only one confirmed going.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Sure.
I just thought that was an interesting thing. Like just the parallel of the one thing that a lot of people were wary of during the rank wars is now just kind of like a liability in the game. But yeah, that's all I really had to think about in World Trigger. I thought it was like an interesting chapter overall. A lot of more action in this one just because we were seeing the units go at it a little more, but I'm excited to see how this turns out. And I think like a lot of this is to like Chica's battle here is to just kind of like stop taking things upon herself, and part of also realizing that, she shouldn't rely on her like usual amazing power is that when she's in a jam, she has to be able to not put the entire burden on herself, and she has to get used to relying on other people as well, and having people have her back on the field.
Yeah, these matches are going to give her a very safe opportunity to get that experience, because she has to challenge herself to take that next step.
Exactly. But yeah, pretty great chapter overall. I enjoy it. But those are all my thoughts. Any rebuttals before we move onward?
Yeah, Brian said he had a handful.
Brian, did you have a handful of rebuttals?
Not really. This was a much better chapter than the previous ones.
You don't deserve it.
What?
Talk shit about my opinions one more time, and I'm gonna quit this series until this arc is done. I'll really have no opinions on this shit.
We'll always be
then I guess this series will be forever ass because
yeah.
Yeah. I guess so.
All right.
Yeah, not much to say.
Ooh, this next series wasn't whack though. There was a lot of blasting.
Lots of blasting.
A lot of beams getting shot. That's exciting.
Yeah, so let's get to it. Let's move on to Black Clover. This is Black Clover, chapter 356, Neverland. Last we left off, Yuno came in to save the motherfucking day. What?
Huh?
Oh, did you say Ayo?
I did.
Why?
Neverland.
What's wrong with Neverland?
It's Neverland, dude.
Grown up shouldn't go to Neverland.
Yuno's a child, though.
Yeah, Yuno's like Yuno's a minor.
You're right. What?
Yeah, he's a minor.
Yeah, he's a minor.
Oh.
Fort Minor, we made you.
This is public information?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Is this public information? I think so.
Do you know how old the angel is?
Probably old.
Oh. Yeah, I would assume so too.
All right, so
yeah,
starting this chapter off, the angels start descending upon the Clover Kingdom. Everybody's using their attacks against it, but they all use their attack against it. But then the angel counters back by using several magic attributes at once. So we see that Morris is in the back room being like, "Ah ha ha ha! I've made it." he's taken the rebels who weren't suited to the new world and reformed and combined them and transformed them into the world's guardian angels. So these are just people that he completely changed into mindless, broken monsters that use multiple magic attributes at once.
They were real people at one point.
Yeah. And everybody's like, damn, that's crazy. Magic Knights or nobles, there's just nothing we could do about it. But, we see like some background characters emerge and still like fighting back despite the odds. And I remember this lady, I forget which guild she
The one
belongs
with
to.
the flowers. The
The what?
Rose Lady.
Oh, Charlotte,
That's
yeah.
her. Yeah, Charlotte's.
Oh yeah. Okay. So she emerges
Earth
with
monster.
like her weird earth monster and tries to punch the thing, but the angel that she's fighting blocked it, and yeah, it's not looking great for her. But then all of a sudden we see Yuno's wind magic fairy pull up and use the combined might of Yuno's spatial magic and her wind spirit magic to create a big wind neverland attack. And one of the, I guess, like the second in command, the former second in command of the Golden Dawn is like, I admit it, you have what it takes to be the Wizard King. And everybody's like, let's go. They are stoked to do this, to fight now that they're in the Neverland. And I guess like everybody gets their fire back from this. Is like thanks to
Yeah,
this
and they're all
magic.
stronger too.
Yeah, so goddamn, he makes everybody strong, based on this attack.
Whole city, bro.
Yeah, Julius or Lucius comes out of nowhere and he tries to use his time magic on Yuno, but it doesn't work because he's like, my time magics are based on deterioration, but this spell manipulates time, speeding it up. And Yuno reveals that in Neverland, time stands still, and I'm like, what? Huh? And this is magic specifically designed to defy Lucius, and he's like, it's horrible. I knew it. You are my rival. And Yuno goes into his super cool crown clover mode, and he's like, I already have a rival, and it's not you. And he brings his sword down on Lucius as the chapter ends. Josh, what did you think about Black Clover chapter 356?
Enough said, RGC.
Whoa, I don't have my drop today, so
I'll RGC it too.
oh, for the first
shit.
time.
Let's go, Chris. Come on, it's not undead unluck.
Yeah, good. I mean, sure. Yeah, RGC.
Even though it was good, also, guys. No hard feelings.
No hard feelings, but
Okay.
I guess this is a good time.
Oh, was that a unified?
Yeah, it was a unified, really good chapter of the week. But I will. The audience voted RGC is a 3-way tie this
Wow.
week between Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover, and World Trigger.
Wow.
So there you go. Those are your 3 really good chapters of the week. If you guys want to vote and make it less even, you can check the YouTube, our official YouTube channel. That's where I post the poll, as they let me use 5 choices as opposed to just 4 on Twitter. So the poll will be up on there, and you can vote for your favorite series every week. But Josh, yeah, what are your thoughts on the chapter?
So sometimes I forget that Yuno is a character, because he's just sometimes he's just Asta's rival. You know what I mean? But and it is what it is with that. But man, in this chapter, I believe he is the Wizard King. He truly is. He created his shonen protagonist energy is so raw that not only did his ability naturally counter the big boss, like how a main character should, his one of his ultimate abilities
to make everybody else stronger and revamp their spirits and create a zone. Man, like I know Asta's just gonna pull up and slice everybody in half, probably even the people he cares about, because fuck it, why not? But it I just want to remember, I want to take this moment right now, today, tonight, to say, you went berserk. You showed up and you let this nigga know that he wasn't gonna do whatever the fuck he wanted. And there's a place in heaven for real niggas like you. Believe it. Believe it, believe it. The fairy grew up.
She did grow up. Yeah.
I wouldn't call that character development, but it's nice to see the growth. It's nice to see that there was growth. And I'm talking about in age and spirit and nothing else. Weirdly enough, my favorite character in this arc so far are the nameless angels. It's
Yeah.
something about their face. It's something about goofy faces that are drawn bad but good. I don't know why.
They
It's
are
because
just stoic
I want to
angel
take you
faces.
serious, but you're not supposed to. But you also are supposed to. They're like statuesque,
Yeah, I think that's what.
but they're also blowing you the fuck away. Like
Yeah, they're
I don't
literally
know.
like statues.
They're all psychopathic murderers
Yeah, that's true.
from Hunter x Hunter. They're using Nen. These are Nen angels. Yeah. I guess I'm at the point where I'm super rambling. So, Brian, what were your thoughts on this chapter?
This might sound weird, but I feel like Yuno has had better feats than Asta at some points in this series, you know? Like he's always been a contender for like being Wizard King. And this series has been very good at keeping him in contention. Like I feel like people recognize Yuno more than they do Asta. But that's just
You mean
because
people in the series?
yeah. Like obviously, Asta's Asta, he is a pretty big deal. And
He will
uses
counter
magic
everything.
powers. Yeah, but is like in a beast in of its own in his own self, in his own right. Like that guy is different. He is different. He is that
You
guy.
think he would demolish Gale Force?
Dude, what the fuck? What is your problem?
He just happens to be another person with wind powers.
Yeah, of course he would, because is a contender for the Wizard King, man.
Yep.
But yeah, this chapter was pretty fucking cool because you get to see more in action, and whenever that guy's around, you just know that he's gonna fucking turn up. And he usually always does. Like, he is the secondary protagonist, and that's what Black Clover does best. It always keeps its star characters in the shine, in the spotlight. It's always it's always Asta, and it's always Yami. You could always depend on those three having really incredible fucking moments. And whenever it does happen, fucking it's always awesome. So I fucking love this chapter.
Yeah, this was a fun one, to be honest. Just to see like the spatial magic. I'm not necessarily sure how it works, but it is cool that we are seeing that is growing. And I think that was like part of Asta's arc earlier when he was facing off against Ichika, is that he felt very inferior to because he also knows that has technically had bigger leaps and feats in his wizarding career than Asta has technically. So there was, I think Asta's feeling the exact same thing. But yeah, this was just a cool big ass action chapter. I love the 2-page spread of Asta using the spirit wind magic, whatever the hell, the Never Land. It was cool as hell. I'm excited to see how this progresses onward. I'm sure Lucius will find a way to mess up. or at the very least make it formidable enough for Asta and Yuno to basically double team him. But I'm excited to see it. Great, fun chapter overall. But those are all really my thoughts on it. Do you guys have any rebuttals?
Nope.
Alrighty then. Then let's move onward to Undead Unluck. And now I'm gonna pass it over to Josh.
All right, we got Undead Unluck. Chapter number 153. So last week we had Billy and Fuko in the showdown to determine if who was going to take disc and who was going to join whose team. Well, I don't think Billy wanted Fuko to join his team, but whatever. Yeah, I get the point. He wanted disc. He needed her to prove that she was real, like everybody else needed her to prove. So business as usual. His negation ability also finally manifests, but the conditions are totally different this time around. It's actually built around him acknowledging other strength, almost to the point of being envious, rather than him, in order for him to copy their abilities, other than them hating him, due to his kind-hearted soul and Fuko's intervention, and in their contest to see who could draw and shoot each other first, Fuko wins. And we find out how in this next chapter. As I swipe to it. Okay. So Billy looking happy as ever, and I wouldn't even say happy, looking as nonchalant as ever, says, "Haha, I lost," as his shoulder leaks blood. They the author here, Yoshifuma, he really wants to stay consistent that this is not real. He doesn't want us to believe it for a moment that any of this. Anyway, so Fuko starts explaining to him how his, why he probably lost, and that his negation ability basically manifested, and he seems to have copied Undraw. Yeah, that's why he couldn't draw his gun fast enough to react to Fuko. And it's crazy because she was saying how that she's practiced for so long. She knew she was fast, but she couldn't believe that she was so quick that she got it before Billy did. So that's what proved it, that he was using somebody else's negation ability. So finally, she asked if he'll join the crew, and he's like, "Yeah." Oh shit! It's a fucking disaster happening. So we realized that the disc that they're all flying on has started to crash towards the ground, but it's taking aim towards something in particular, and that thing in particular is actually a person, and that's Nico. So earlier, a couple chapters ago, right before the competition started between Fuko and Billy, there was a moment when Fuko had put her bare foot onto the disc platform, which she accounted for, right? She planned for that. What she didn't plan was for Nico to touch it with his bare foot, meaning all that unluck got transferred to him, and now the disc is on a trajectory to destroy his soul. Emphasis
his
on that.
entire being.
Yeah, his being. So, obviously, Fuko hears that and is mortified and will not accept that as an answer. Nico's like, "Listen, it's okay. I did a lot already. I supported y'all. I will accept this death. Just please move on." Fuko hits him with the ... No way. Like she's about to lose the game after coming so far. Like, no. There's got to be a way around this shit. So, they. Excuse me. Okay, so the gears start turning in Fuko's mind. She's like, "Okay, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" The rest of the team, Creed specifically, starts shooting fucking
sniper bullet, huge IBS bullets. I think I don't know. I don't know snipers' names.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna act. Do you know, Brian? You play Valorant.
What about snipers?
What kind of sniper is that?
I have no fucking clue.
A Rubik's Cube sniper?
No, is that the Rubik? I don't think it's a Rubik's cube.
I don't think snipers.
Well,
are
obviously that's
generally
not the name
toys.
of it. But clearly there's a cube at the end. Anyway, what are Mr. Creed starts shooting at that shit. It's like, come on, don't give up, guys. We gotta, you figure out a way to save my men, and I'm gonna help you save your men. And they're like, come on, give the order. Let's figure this out. So boom, Fuko's like, all right, put a barrier to the side and fix it to the trees, and then Miss Yusa, use your undraw ability to make it so that the trees will not unroot. It's really creative.
Yeah.
They're creating this like unbreakable barrier essentially. Well, that's not true. The barrier, the trees are supporting the barrier, but the barrier is gonna break eventually, regardless of if the tree is not folding. Excuse me. So Mr. Kree's still attacking from outside the barrier to try to decrease the momentum of the ship to try to hold it back. And then Mr. Billy is like, fair and square, you're a good team that supports one another. You should let us join the party. And then you have Untel and Unfair. I don't know what Untel's doing.
I also don't know. I was hoping you would know.
What yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of was hoping, I was relying on you as well. And I see we both messed up.
No,
I'm going to tell you this. I would assume that he should get the fuck away from that situation so that Billy doesn't copy Untel, so he can't say nothing.
Yeah.
It's a cool post, though.
It is a cool post. This is a cool 2-page spread.
It is definitely a cool 2-page. Like, out of context, it looks awesome.
Out of wondering what Untel is really doing there?
Yeah. I thought we was about to get another explanation. Like, oh, does Untel really mean something else too? Like,
but no.
I won't tell you that you're in danger, so you're not in danger. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I don't know.
Dude, so Billy basically.
Oh, we lost Josh.
We lost Josh.
We lost Josh. Josh. No, shit. What do we do?
Can we finish his thoughts for him? Is it possible? Can we read his mind?
Well, we're not whatever. I'll just take up. Oh, there he is.
I was gonna do a Josh impression. Be like, yo, this chapter is really fucking good.
Hello?
Brian.
It was really good. Yeah, disconnected. I don't know how. That was weird. Sorry for your editing.
It's okay. I'm not.
That was so. I don't know what happened.
It's all right. I'm not gonna cut this out.
Oh shit. Okay.
It's fine.
Where was I at?
You were at the. We just
Okay,
got done
Billy.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So Billy's using his unfair ability to copy Gina's Unchanged because he envies her power, and with his extra power, they're able to push back the UFO a little bit more, giving Fuko some more time to think. And she's like, I know what the fuck we're gonna do. We're gonna create an astral projection out of somebody. Oh, how do they do that?
Astral projection?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Maybe it's an item they had that allows them to do it. But the point is, Fuko realizes that the unluck targets their soul. I said untarget, lol. And if she could separate the soul from the physical body, they can move the body and keep the soul somewhere. The thing will hit the soul, but it won't do any damage because it's all physical, and he should be fine.
No, she has an artifact that allows her to.
Yeah,
the astral projection thing.
Nice. Okay, so that's what happened, and I think because of Ghost, the Uma Ghost being introduced allows them to use that too.
Yeah, and that's why
it all mattered.
Ichiko uses it so that her body can sleep while her soul stays awake.
Right. We already, so that was established. Cool. Okay. So yeah, like we said, they leave Nico's soul
back as they rush out of there as we see this miraculous collision of this running into the island and blowing everything up. Just for Nico's soul to rush back to his body, totally okay.
Yeah.
And look, randomly they find Remember sitting out in the sea, in the ocean. Immediately she thinks about Andy, excuse me. 'Cause, we all miss him, I'm sure. And yeah, Creed and Billy have themselves a little laugh about how everything they was just fighting over, the island, the disc, their manly pride, it's all been destroyed. All of that in one fell swoop. And that they're actually happy about it and they're psyched to work with Fuko. Until she tells them that their next destination is the moon. And they're not with the shits anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, Billy's afraid of heights,
Because he's blind.
I guess.
It's still not. It's clear, but I still have a suspension of belief.
Yeah.
It should be suspension of disbelief, but I'm saying like I believe he may. It really doesn't matter. Mr. Billy's on the team, and that was the end of the chapter. Fuko's going to space with everybody. It's they're gonna go meet who's Little Phil.
I think I vaguely remember Little Phil. I'm
vaguely want to do a Google search.
I'm going
gonna
to
do it.
Yeah, okay, do for it. I'll give my thoughts. The last page of this chapter gave me Dr. Stone flashbacks.
Yeah.
Of going to the moon and stuff. But overall, yeah, this was a really cool chapter. Lots of teamwork on display here. All the characters using all of their abilities to the fullest to make sure Disc doesn't absolutely fucking destroy them. But yeah, we got.
Oh,
what?
Phil is the artifact kid.
Oh, nice.
He's a negator.
Mm-hmm.
He actually is a negator, but he holds a bunch of artifacts. Okay.
So that's cool. I'm very excited to see going to space. I mean, space is a big significance as that the moon is one of the bad guys, kind of, sorta. So I'm wondering how that's gonna work. But yeah, I really enjoyed reading this chapter. I really like the whole endeavor they went through to save Nico. It was honestly very heartwarming to see everybody come together and do their thing. And it was a smart plan overall, just using things that were already built up and were, had their rules established to save Nico. And it was a really smart plan. So I thought it was pretty sick. But yeah, those are pretty much all my thoughts. Josh, what did you think?
I thought that this was a somewhat dramatic chapter. I thought we was about to lose Nico, man.
Yeah.
I thought so. It was a little crazy, but we didn't. And the day was saved. It was the average Undead Unluck chapter. It was nice. It was cool.
It was cute.
It was cool. Fuko could shoot a gun. Billy isn't an edgelord anymore. That's always a good development.
Yeah, when there's one less edgelord in the world, that's a good development.
It sure is. Much to Brian's chagrin.
Much to my chagrin.
Were those all your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't have too many lingering thoughts. We out to the moon.
We out to the moon, indeed. All right, well, that's awesome. Well, that was Undead Unluck, and that has been our show. Thank you guys so much for listening, as per usual. We went a little long this time around, but I guess that's never a bad thing, really. When,
sacrificed a lot of series for My Hero Academia.
I wouldn't say we sacrificed it. I feel like we went through everybody. We gave everybody their due time. I had a great time, to be honest. Still love doing this show. Excited to do it every week, even though we don't have our video component. But hey, thank you guys for listening regardless. It's very appreciated. You can find me at the Chris Espinal on Twitter and Instagram, Josh at JDCole_37 on Instagram, at New Gem City Josh on Twitter, Brian at B.ESP on Twitter and Instagram. Catch him when he's streaming on twitch.tv/itspunchline. When? Take a guess. Maybe you won't be wrong.
He's up on that Val.
Yeah, he's up on that Val. You can follow the show itself at New Gem City on Twitter and Instagram. You also can email us at newgemcitypod@gmail.com with any questions, suggestions, anything you guys want us to talk about. And yeah, subscribe to us on YouTube, please. We will be back at some point. I don't know when, to be honest, just because computers are expensive and I'm trying to get a decent one that's not going to destroy itself when I use it. So yeah, subscribe to us until we come back, and we'll be back soon. In the meantime, of course, if you're listening to this, you already know, but you can catch us, subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. We're on there. And yeah, without further ado, thank you guys so much for listening, and stay safe, New Gem citizens. See you next week.
Peace out, guys. Thanks for listening.